Hi, this is Dresden with Barbell Acres, and today I am here to show you a recipe that we have for homemade fasnachts. So if you're not familiar with the fasnacht, it's a Central PA tradition in honor of Mardi Gras or Fat Tuesday. Around here we call it Fasnacht Day. But what it is it's essentially a donut that's made with potato. The idea is behind Fasnacht Day is it's in preparation for Lent. So when people, give up whatever, a lot of times it was like, junk foods or fat or things like that. Give it up for fasting for 40 days till Easter. So with the fasnachts, it's getting together all like the scratch, like sugar, lard, flour, all those things that you don't want to spoil while you're fasting, and then you make it into a donut. And here in Central PA, we add a potato to it, just something a little more unique. So yeah, let's dig into how we make them, and then we'll go from there. So we start with a cup of sourdough discard, and then we add 3 cups of bread flour. Next, we're going to add a half cup of all-purpose flour. I'm using Einkorn here in this video. Next, we have a 1/4 cup of sugar, and then 1.5 teaspoons of salt, and finally 4 eggs. Finally, we add what makes the fasnachts unique, 1 cup of potato flakes. And then we're gonna mix it up here on a low to medium speed till it forms up. It's gonna take a little bit for you to see the change. And I have it sped up a little bit here, but you probably are gonna mix it for about 5 minutes or so on low to medium speed until you actually see it beginning to form. So next then, once you see the dough starting to take shape, we take a cup of butter, and about a 1/4 cup or so at a time, you're going to slowly add that in and incorporate that into your dough as it mixes, and let it mix up a little bit in between each addition. Make sure your butter is softened, either set out to room temperature or even ever so slightly heated up. I overheated the stuff in the white bowl there and melted a little bit, but it still does the job. For potato flakes, you just can use the instant mashed potatoes out of a box, or you can also even use potato flour, whatever you have available. You can even experiment with mashed potatoes. There's a couple different ways you can do it. You may just need to play around with adding a little more liquid like milk or something, which you're going to see here in a second after I finish up adding the butter. So you'll see, I'm scraping down, and then here I'm adding a little bit of milk. I don't have a precise measurement for it, maybe a 1/4 cup or so, just depending on the stiffness of the dough, just to loosen it up a little bit. So once the dough's finished mixing, now we're gonna shape it. You can see it's pretty soft, but we're gonna shape it into a nice ball, and then I'm greasing a bowl here, and we're gonna let it sit out for an hour covered. So once it's sat for an hour, then we're gonna pull it back out of the bowl and punch it down to get some of that air out gently. Don't be too rough with it, but just work it through nice. And then we're gonna take the dough and reshape it again back into a ball and put it back into the greased bowl. Careful what you grease with. I use tallow and it really stuck. So maybe use like an oil or something else to grease your bowl with, because now we're gonna refrigerate it for 8 hours to overnight. After 8 hours to maybe overnight, however long you want to do it, we're going to take the dough out of our bowl, and now we're going to work it down. You may want to let it set out a little bit because it's pretty tough when it's been refrigerated, but we're going to get ready to divide the dough here into 2 halves, and then each of those halves is something we're going to sheet out and cut our individual fasnachts out of. We're going to shape each half into a little disc, and then we're going to start rolling that out to cut our fasnachts. You don't want to roll it too thin. Good rule of thumb is probably like a 1/4 inch thick or something like that. Then, once you have your dough completely rolled out to the thickness you want it at, we're gonna take, I used a mason jar, the lid of that, but if you have a cookie cutter, you can use that too, something round, and we're gonna cut out our fasnachts. And we're gonna do the same with the other disc and rinse, repeat. You can rework in some of that old dough to get the most out of it that you can. And once all your pieces are cut, we're gonna throw them on a tray. You don't have to space them too much, they're not gonna spread, but we're gonna let them sit out covered for about an hour or two before we get ready to fry. Alright guys, so that is everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave us a comment about what are some of your favorite ways to celebrate Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, maybe Fasnacht Day for yourself. Until next time, have a great day, and we'll talk soon.